What's up everybody, this is Tucker from Mac Kiteboarding, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you to the new Code Kanga foils. As the name indicates, these are for hopping around, dock starting. Anytime you're riding with super slow speeds and you just want that extra efficiency and pump ability to keep you going, even with like no energy out there, whether it's flat water you're pumping around, or you're just paddling up, practicing your sup paddle ups, doing beach starts, light wind winging, light wind parawinging, you name it. These things are built for maximum low speed ability, the minimum stall speed possible out there, and they've totally killed it with the design. Let me walk you through the lineup here, and I can tell you a little bit more about my experience on the Code Kanga. The range goes from the massive 2200 foil down to the 1870, 1600, and 1390. You can tell I'm not too familiar with the numbers yet, haven't quite memorized them, but I also tried to kind of actively not pay attention to it as I was out there testing, because these things are a different breed of animal. Their size, isn't really indicative of the amount of lift and low speed ability that they have. So if you've done dock starting before, ridden some bigger foils before, you can be like, oh yeah, 1800 is kind of not that huge, or your 1600 is kind of an average size for a lot of people. But don't let the numbers fool you. These things have a ton of lift for their size, and you're going to find out more about that in a minute when I tell you about my experience on these out at the dock and out winging and parawinging on these foils. So I started out big, and then I thought, hey, I'll just keep going down the line as I was testing and see where I ended up. How, if me at 190 pounds can even start, this 1300, or whether I can or can't. And I'm here to tell you I was really shocked. The 2200 to start, the easiest dock start foil I've had coming off the dock. It's just got so much lift, so much glide and efficiency coming off the dock. You really don't even need to run into it at all. You just kind of push it out in front of you and jump on it, and it starts to glide and take off. Really easy foil to pump for a long distance. I was easily able to smash my previous record with this foil on the first time out. Before I even started playing with different tails and stabilizers, I just had the small and the 151 rigged up on another foil. So bang, slapped it on there. I was, all right, let's see how it goes. And it went super well with that. If anything, probably a little over stabilized for me and my ability where I'm at. So I look forward to spending more time really fine tuning that guy for those long distance endurance style setups. And really that's what this one's built for. If you look at it, the span is huge. For its size, it's got a lot of lift, but the foil section is still very efficient and fast. So this is a foil that doesn't take a lot of energy to keep it going. Coming down into the smaller 1870, this is going to be the lowest aspect of all of the options here. I think this is your go-to for anybody that's never dock started before, as long as they're in kind of a normal weight range. This guy gives you a ton of lift off the dock, a little bit more agility in the turn and ability to correct if you get off balance, whereas the 2200, that one really wants to pump in straight lines. If you're making turns, they had better be nice, big, well thought out and balanced turns. If you go to lean into a turn on the 2200, you're probably just going to fall off the board. This thing is super stiff. The mast I used was super stiff, 80 centimeter plus mast. And it gives you a good amount of control over it, but a foil this size, no matter how stiff it is still going to take a while to initiate and get into a turn. And then the same thing coming out of the turn. Going to take a little bit more balance and patience to come out of the turn. So for that reason, that's why I say the 1870 here is going to be your easiest option for most people. It's big, thick foil section with quite a bit of reflex. On this guy, looks like they got some good camber built in there to the foil section. fatter tips with a bit more volume in the tip. Just gives you more lift for its size, a little less efficiency in terms of distance and glide, but it's easier to pump, easier to control for people that are new to pumping dock starting here. Next down the line, this is where I really started to kind of find my stride, I think, on the 1600, being a little higher aspect, still efficient, thinner tips on this guy here. And this one was a ton of fun for me. Still extremely easy coming off the dock as somebody with an intermediate level dock start experience. Certainly no endurance athlete, but I was still able to pump for a few minutes at a time without really honing in or finding a special type of pumping technique. Just going out there and doing it. And admittedly, I'm coming off the winter, so kind of out of shape, especially in terms of endurance. So this one was probably one of my favorites in terms of versatility off the dock. So if you're not just going for marathon runs, you want some turning performance, maybe do a little wake thieving, get some glide into some swells, and then transfer that, you know, into some ultra light wind winging and parawing riding. This one was really fantastic for that. Very user friendly. And I would say if you're a lighter weight rider, maybe under 165 pounds, skip the 1800 60 and go to the 1600. This guy is going to have just a little bit more efficiency in the glide. You don't need all the chunky monkey that the 1800 60 has. So jump down to the 1600 and then you'll have a little bit more agility, a little bit more glide efficiency. Still is going to come off the dock really easily for you. The wingspan itself is about the same. If we have a look here, the wingspan is, you know, basically identical here. You're just getting something a little sleeker, a little higher aspect, and you lighter riders, or if you're somebody that's got a little bit of dock start experience already, could certainly go down to the 1600. As a moral for the story, with all of these wings I found, you can really size down if you want to, but sizing up into the 2200 if you're into, you know, those marathon type pumps, you're going to try to go pump for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You know, that's the guy you're going to want there, but you do sacrifice a bit of speed and turning performance and playfulness with that. You know, you're pretty much just staying centered and pumping and pumping and pumping, and then making some very, very broad arcs with that guy. Lastly, 1390. Honestly, I was a little bit hesitant as to whether I'd be able to get this guy off the dock with any amount of consistency, we'll say. I've dock started foils such as this before, Code 1250R for instance. I can get that foil off the dock, but my success rate just tanks. It needs so much speed. You really have to run that thing off the dock at my weight, full speed, and be right on it. And it does take a pretty quick cadence to keep the speed up for that foil that you need. 1390 Kanga, not 1250R, that's what I was just talking about. So 1390 Kanga, or K if you will. This guy, I was shocked at how well it came off the dock. As per the rest of the range, it has a lot more lift than its size would indicate. It's got a really efficient higher aspect design here. Still good meat through the center in a very lifty foil section here, but then it thins out towards the tips. So you gain that extra speed. You gain a bit of breach ability where you can get a few inches of this foil out of the water in turns without much consequence. So if you like to pump around with a little bit more speed, get some turns in there and feel a bit more playful, do some wake thieving on bigger wakes or downwinding in small swell, this is the guy for you. If you're an experienced foiler and you don't need a huge foil for light windability, you can make up for that with your efficiency and your pumping technique. This guy is going to give you a ton of low end. I mean, compare this to like 1500, 1600 type foils for sure in terms of the low end ability. Even in the higher aspect stuff, this thing is just built for huge amounts of low end. So I was shocked at how much I liked the 1390 initially when we got it in our kit of demos here. I thought, you know, that's something I might like in light winds, but I'm probably not going to be able to dock start it. You know, I'm not really going to be able to pump it super efficiently at my weight. But super shocked for this guy. So if you're an intermediate or better pumper, you want a bit more speed in your pump. you want a bit more playfulness and turning ability, this guy is a ton of fun. Very easy to ride, especially when you start to pair it with the smaller tails and smaller stabilizers here. A lot of these really start to get more and more opened up and more fun. I was riding it predominantly with the small 151R, 142 AR, as well as the 100 race. I found the 142 AR was a lot of fun on the more maneuverable foils. It just gives them a bit more of a surfy feel, especially with a shorter tail like the small, extra small, or now double extra small that just came out. But, you know, appropriate sizing for your ability, I think, is what I would say. If you're new to it, you know, medium or small is a good choice. If you're somebody that's already pretty proficient out there with starting, especially if you're sizing up, go with a shorter tail, go with a really small stabilizer. Even a race stabilizer is going to give you that maximum efficiency and glide for those marathon sessions. So if you're that cardio king or queen and you're out there wanting to go smash records, pump for hours and miles of distance, going shorter fuse, shorter tail, or smaller stabilizer, I should say, is really going to help you out there. Whereas, like I said, if you're new, medium, small tail, 151R is very efficient, very easy to ride. 150 AR is a great choice as well. Gives you a good stable ability to push off of, gives you some stability in the pitch and a bit more glide efficiency in the stability in the glide, I should say. So if you land a little bit wrong, it's not going to, you know, batch your start. You can land a little different and still it's stable enough to kind of glide you out while you adjust your feet. That's perfect for those people that are still learning. So I think, you know, the question becomes, how good are they? And I've been really impressed. I think they really nailed it with the sizing, the different shapes. They didn't just scale a shape across a bunch of different sizes. You know, there's a redesign for each one. The 1390 here, the 1600 are very similar, only a little different in aspect ratio because it becomes bigger. You get a little bit deeper cord. Going to the 1870 here, this is our lowest aspect option, really meaty. Tons of thickness, tons of lifting foil section through this whole foil. And you can see, again, you know, that cord is very fat, especially up towards the tip, whereas the others taper a bit more. And then into the Distance King, maximum aspect ratio, very thin for its size, and a faster foil section for more projection in your pumps to create speed, glide, that efficiency that you need. Although it is a little bit more temperamental in that rolling maneuverability. Like I said, if you get off track, you kind of just got to go with it. You can't correct it back just by leaning the other way. It's going to take too long to correct itself. If you start leaning, you just got to kind of go with it and continue that curve until it comes up underneath you again. So these are the Code Kangas. I think one of the biggest questions we're going to get is probably, okay, those are the Kangas, I get it, that's cool. How does it differ from their other foils in the lineup that we've pumped in the past? So Code 1725S, 1525S, 1250R. So as a general rule, the Kangas are in their own territory. The S and the R are really designed for performance. They're really taking into account their top end range, their surfability. In the Kanga series, what's most important is the glide efficiency, the low speed lift, and the stall speed of the foil. So you can see things change. They might look on paper a little bit similar to, say, an S series or something, but the foil section, the thickness, the way these are designed is almost a polar opposite direction. So because of that, all of these have more lift than anything in the Code lineup. So you go, really? The 1390 has more lift and low speed ability than the 1725S? That's correct. I would compare the 1725S in terms of speed to something way over here that doesn't exist. 1725S is a phenomenal dock start foil. It's been one of my favorites. Certainly one of the most playful and fun and speedy dock startable foils. but it lacks something in terms of the ease of use. It lacks something in terms of the distance ability, because of the efficiency of that foil is very good for how surfy it is, but it's not quite as good as it can be with the Kanga series in terms of that low speed lift, the pumping ability, the projection of the pump, when that priority is paramount. So that's what you got the Kanga for. Maximum lift, top speed, not great. Glide efficiency, quite good at low speeds, not as good at a high speed. Whereas on the S series, or especially in the R series, what you get is there's a pretty good glide in the low speed, but the top speed is really where you're going to get maximum glide efficiency for those foils. You want to build up the speed in the range and then glide it down through. These guys here, the faster you go, the less efficient really they get in terms of glide efficiency. So you want to keep them in their range. They're really happy in that kind of slow to medium zone. You start to push them into the faster stuff, and it's just not going to quite be there. So if you're into riding a bit faster, you need to keep up with a faster wake, or if you're doing downwind runs where you got knee-high swell, waist-high swell, these are probably going to be a little bit too slow. But if you're out there chasing, boat wakes and no wake zone, and they're only going, 3 or 4 miles an hour, these things are perfect. They're going to allow you to hook right into that wave, surf your way out, and have a lot of fun. Wake thieving, doing that without having to worry about pumping your brains out to keep it moving. So thus far, really, really amped on the Code Series Kanga. I am coming to tell you that these have been the easiest foils for their size that I have dock started. The 2200 smashed my record first try. It's that easy. It's all on me. It's all the cardio that I need to do to go further. So I look forward to doing more of that and doing some tours around our local lakes around here. One other thing I found really special about the 2200 for me as a heavier rider is that I was now able to do standing starts, or frog starts, rock starts, log starts, you name it. With this guy here, I always play this game where I try to go across our lake to this little cement platform and then jump off of that and get back. And I always really struggle with the launch on the way back because that platform is just a brick of concrete. So you have to kind of hold it out in front of you and jump up, or sort of hold it out, way out, and run and take a couple steps and get on. So I really struggle with that, especially after I burned my legs coming that way. With this guy, I was able to hit it no problem first time. I was able to do a standing start with it, which I've really struggled with any foil on in the past. So really impressed with the ability to go do some of those touring free ride runs on the 2200. I think I can get there on the 1600 and the 1390 here. It's just going to take a little bit more practice, maybe some fine tuning with my tail and stab, and predominantly just some more cardio work for me to build that up, build some leg strength through the summertime now that we're back on the water, doing some dock starting stuff and not just doing wind stuff. That's really going to open the door, I think, and help to explore some new territories, some new riding styles for those days where there's not wind, for those days where there's not waves, so you can get out there and foil any day you want. Really stoked on these guys. I should mention they come with a high quality cover, like all Code foils, as well as the screws you need for that particular component. So it comes with the 2 Mast screws with this guy. The fuselage screws are going to come with your fuselage. I mentioned earlier in the video, I'll say it again, I was on the Code 80 centimeter plus mast. That's a really great mast for this system. It's really stiff. It's short enough to be extra stiff. I think the 85 would start to get a bit long, get a bit more flex in that guy, but the 80 was a nice size for me, especially crossing over wing, parawing, and dock starting. I think 75 would have been great dock start only, but you get these big wingspans, get out there on the waves, and you start making some turns and carving and stuff. The 75 just gets a bit short. So that's been that. I think also their aluminum mast is going to be a really popular pick for these because the aluminum is really, really stiff. You don't necessarily need the top speed of the carbon masts. The aluminum is nearly as stiff, and the foil section on that one is built really for lower speed riding, which fits the Kangas really nice. So I think if you're not already in the Code system, have a really good look at the aluminum. It makes a lot of sense for these guys here, and then save that money for maybe another size as you progress and have a lot more fun with multiple riding styles out there. at the dock, at the beach, wherever you might be using these. So this has been Tucker with Mac Kiteboarding. These are the Code Kangas. Hope to get you guys on them soon. And stay tuned as we test more of these dock start foils back to back here this summer and come to you with more content. If you have any questions, contact us here at the shop. Send a message, jump on live chat, put a comment in the comment section below, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. If you appreciated the video, it really helps us out. Thanks guys, we'll see you next time.